I want to thank you all for coming out here, giving your heart to this movement, working so hard on it. Some of you, like me, it is your second job. I do want to thank my team at Massimo, because if they wouldn't do the things they're doing so well, I wouldn't have the time to do what I'm doing. So I'm grateful to them. And of course, they give a lot to this event as well. Before we leave, I want to give you an engineer's perspective. As an engineer, in God we trust, but for everything else, we need data. We only trust data. And we try really hard to make sure that data is real, there's veracity to it, and I know there's work we're doing with Ernst & Young who help us to do that. But I want to give you the data. We're now up to 12 actionable patient safety solutions, which have been, by the way, just recently updated, and it's based on the best practices today. A lot of work went into that. I want to thank the people who worked so hard on that. Thank you. And while I think the 87,000 number does work with what we've done and what the Partnership for Patients, ACA, National Patient Safety Foundation, and many other wonderful people have done, our work here together has saved over 24,643 lives. In the U.S., 12,161, and outside the U.S., 12,482. This is from 1,624 hospitals who've made a commitment, with 867 of them in the United States and 757 outside the United States. The pledge to share data has not only come from 47 companies now, but the companies that matter, from the folks you saw today, GE, Draeger, Zoll, to IBM Watson, Philips, and Sonosite, Fuji Sonosite. I'm sorry if I'm not going to remember all of them, but these matter. Cerner, the second biggest EMR company. 30 countries have now joined the movement. Entire countries of Spain, of Scotland, of Ireland, and England, NHS England has joined this movement. Entire hospital groups. But however you look at the map, and I want to clarify one thing. President Clinton asked me to clarify my question. Did I mean America when we said 0 by 2020? And I said yes, because as you know, that was the goal, to get to 0 preventable death by 2020 in the US. And then these amazing people from all over the world, you all came. And Thomas Zeltner said, why don't we take this to Europe? And Hugo said, let's take it to Europe. And people from Saudi Arabia, Israel, from Brazil, they all wanted to take it there. And our goal is to help them in whatever way we can to get to 0. But the 2020 was not for that. And as President Clinton said, the list does keep expanding. And someone recently said to me, we should put cancer as a preventable death. And only after Vice President Biden helps us find a cure for it, maybe we will. But nonetheless, we have about 180,000 to go in the US, annualized. And we only have 4 years left. So I'm asking you, like President Clinton put a lot of work on my shoulders, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go run this like a campaign. We'll take it regional. But I'm asking each and every one of you to please, as hospitals, some of you have implemented 1 apps, some 3 apps, some totally not our apps, but your own things, which are wonderful because you're still looking at before and after, and that's what really matters. But I'm asking those hospitals have already made the pledge, please go and do all of it. You've got to do it all at once. You really have to, because like I said earlier, if one of your loved ones gets hurt and you got to go to the hospital, it'll be too late. We just got to do it right now. And I want you to reach out to your colleagues. Reach out to other hospitals in your neighborhood. We should not be competing when it comes to quality and saving lives. Reach out to them, ask them to join the movement. And for you who are the first time here, please make your pledge. And as you know, as much as we love you, you can't come back unless you commit to doing something. And I'm asking my friends at medtech companies to make the pledge to share their data. I'm asking the ones who have, reach out to your competitors. I have. I'm not successful yet, but I have. Reach out to your competitors and ask them to join in, because the data is only useful if we all provide it. It's like trying to fill out an elephant and we're 11 blind men. We all need to tell them what we're touching and feeling, and one of us can't help save lives with just our data. So I think sometimes when you try to do something, what you don't realize is the process you're creating. I think what process we're creating here is we're leading, we're unsiloing, we're coming up with this idea of getting the patients involved in the process, and we're creating this patient data superhighway, and we're bringing transparency. If hopefully Senator Whitehouse is successful in getting a Republican cohort to join him, he'll be introducing the bill shortly, and hopefully it'll pass, and that'll be the beginning of hopefully transparency. And we're going to do our best to work with, from Governor Brown to Governor Cuomo to the administration in the United States and your countries, other countries, to align the incentives. Because if tomorrow the payments weren't going to happen unless you had processes in place to eliminate preventable death, following MedStar, what they're doing, you bet every hospital CEO and CFO and COO would empower their nurses and doctors to go implement processes to avoid preventable death. One of the things we're trying to remind us all is technology is half of it, processes is half of it, but the other half, which I know I'm up to one and a half, the other half is loving your families, loving your neighbors, loving your patients, and giving dignified care. And I talked about the tyranny of apathy. We must embrace the brilliance of acting out of kindness. Acting out of kindness. If, to an engineer, if data and innovation is king, acting out of kindness is God. Action is what matters. Action based on kindness. And we also have to get away from the moment and embrace the brilliance of the trend in patient data, trend in history around us. We hope to see you all again next year. It'll probably be a little bit later. We'll have to do it after the inauguration. And I just want to say, for those of you who want to know how the sausage is made, join us on June 10th. Innova Fairfax System is co-hosting the event with us at Washington, D.C. for our mid-year meeting, where we brainstorm the issues, vote on what should be presented at this summit. And I want to tell you, this meeting capstones the work we do, but during the year, a lot of work is done by a lot of people, especially our President Jim Bialik, Vice President Ariana Longley, and the many volunteers. Jim will be leaving us this year to help me do something else and help us do something else in Washington, D.C. So we're going to be promoting a new president to the Patient Safety Movement Foundation. And I want to first of all give him a big round of applause for everything he's done. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. And while we have some people in mind for taking his role, if you think you or someone you know is the right person for the next journey, and there's many reasons we made 2020 the goal. One of them is I'd like to retire in 2020. So we got to wrap this up, folks. So we got to go for a close. Okay, this is not meant to be a career. This is more the way politicians used to go in Washington. They used to have their own things to do, and then they would go and work in Washington and go back home. I like to go back home. But thank you so much. Let's now go have some dinner and enjoy some music. Thank you. Thank you all for everything you've done. Thank you.